I am the self-help hacker. And I suppose I've accidentally created a trilogy inside my series, Self-Help Hacker. I made a video saying that if you need someone to apologize to you, that makes you weak. If you need someone to say thank you for something you did for them, that makes you weak. So naturally, I didn't even have to think about it, it just came to me. Here's another one. If you need recognition, confirmation, then that actually makes you weak too. And this is probably the biggest struggle, because we're wired to want to be recognized and validated for what we're good at. And that's important that we are. Any good leader knows that about the people around them and finds a way to validate and confirm people in their accomplishments and their skill sets and their abilities and their talents. A good leader is going to do that. But the thing is, you're not always under the guidance of a strong leader who's going to be aware of that and confirm people in their identity of what they're good at. In fact, a poor leader is going to instead confirm them in their weaknesses or how they perceive their weakness, and they're not even going to tell them how to improve it. They're just going to put it on them. And they're going to hear more negative feedback than they are positive feedback. That would be a poor leader, a bad leader. And ultimately, largely, this series is about teaching you leadership skills when it really comes down to it, because I'm teaching you the cheat codes to life. But if you're doing them sooner in life than I did, by default, you're going to be a leader if you're doing these things. So ultimately, though, it does make you weak if you are needing validation, confirmation of your identity, even if it aren't true things about you that actually matter. Like, hey, I'm good at computer stuff. Hey, I'm good at fixing cars, whatever it is. The thing, though, is if you're good at the thing, people already know that. You may never really get enough recognition that you want, but do you need that? Do you need to be like Michael Scott or Andy Bernard on The Office? That was one of the funniest things about both of those characters. That was why they were comic relief on that show, The Office, is both of them were men past the age of 35 who needed everybody around them to tell them that they matter, and here's the thing that you're good at, and I like you. They needed that confirmation all the time, and it was just pure comedy. You know, Michael Scott eventually got through it, but Andy Bernard, on the last episode, when he was 38, which is my age now, he never really got grounded. And so I guess technically when he was still on the show, he was in his early 30s. But by the end, he was post 35. And that was the tragedy. He lived past the age of 35. The show ended, and it was kind of a sad situation for Andy Bernard. But we saw success with Michael because he realized he didn't need everybody to confirm his identity and what he was good at, because he knew that internally. It's good to be recognized. It's great to be validated. And again, if you're on the opposite side in a leadership position, by all means, you should always be looking for ways to validate people by the things that they're good at. Because by default, you're going to have conversations with their weaknesses in the room for improvement. So you at least need to have that balanced out. They need to regularly be hearing you praise them. But what if you're the person under poor leadership and you're not getting that? Well, it's still up to you to determine personally, internally, you know what? I may not be getting the credit for this, but I am good at this and I am doing this. And this is the thing I'm good at. And ultimately, if you're not appreciated at the place that you're doing it, especially like at a job, for example, you can get another job. And if they're willing to recognize your skill set on that resume in an interview, you might get a better job. You might even make more money because no one could recognize you at your old job for the thing you're good at. I didn't mean to say that, do this thing, but that's kind of what happened to me in real life. The place I worked at for like 12 and a half years, so many of the things that I really was good at that no one could appreciate there, they totally appreciate at my new job. It actually was part of the reason I got the job, whereas the other place it couldn't be appreciated. So I think in certain contexts, it's a matter of, as long as you recognize that's your strength then you do something about it. You take your talents elsewhere if they can't be appreciated where they are. But don't have a bad day over it, because ultimately you're good at that thing. You know that you're good at that thing. Whether someone says it out loud or not doesn't change the fact that you're good at the thing. But what might need to change is your environment. Not because you need more confirmation or validation of your identity, but because life really can be better if you're surrounded by people who recognize, hey, you're good at the thing. Your comments are right here.